So with all this information, what do we do next, right? So what you're looking at is the planning steps as they're written in the planning basics. So planning has 7 steps to it. Planning basics, I really like how it breaks them into 4 separate meetings. What we did is before the first step. So what we did was build the questions necessary just to scan. And that was based off of us listening and working together. Once we would take an area inventory like this, then we would actually fill it out. That's us gathering the data. That's us scanning. Then we'd go through and prioritize these issues, create action plans, monitor and evaluate, which means your action plans, how well are you fulfilling those? Who's overseeing them? Who's reporting? So on and so forth. The idea behind all of this still stems from the conversation that we started this with. When an area or a GSR or an RCM asks for help and we don't know how to help them, rather than just say we don't know and let this thing fall apart, we could work together to actually overcome some of these issues. Some of the things that we're working on in my zone for fellowship development, and this is not a presentation for a Northeast Zonal Forum, but one of the things that we're building right now is an online planning tool. The idea behind this is to take those 4 steps that we just talked about, provide a video that explains the step that you're working, the form to fill it out with for all 4 of these, to try to streamline this process so we don't have to wait until the whole world's on fire. We can do these things ahead of time, but the first thing we have to understand is, why is it important for us to plan? Why is it important for us to work together and to collaborate? And hopefully by the end of this workshop, you guys have seen that. Our area is on fire. What can we do? We just work together collectively through a unified vision, and we came up with some great solutions. We have a starting point now, so we don't have to say, I don't know. We can say, this is what we can do to start. So we have roughly 10 minutes left. So I'm going to ask if there's any questions for anyone that was part of this workshop, any of the GSRs, and the chair, Mike, the vice chair, myself, or just comments about how you thought this workshop went. So if you have anything, just raise your hand. I see Sam.
I was curious because it slipped my mind earlier, but as far as the process of doing a ASC inventory, would that be like a home group writing a motion to form an ad hoc committee, or who involved in that, like the process of doing one, and who's, whether it's volunteer basis or it's done by, the executive body, and so the process to do one to better the area.
I can say something on that if that's a question.
And I can too.
Okay. So my idea would be to try to just bring it up in your open discussion or in your open forum or under a group concern if your group shares the concern. And if you can't just get to an agreement to do it, then I think you could definitely write a formal motion to do an area inventory, and hopefully everyone would get on board with it.
All right, thank you.
I also just wanted to add, Sam, just to, in our experience, the responsibilities of the vice chair of the area service committee is to hold a biannual area inventory. It's in our guidelines. It's the responsibility of that position to do that.
Okay, thank you.
One thing to add real quick is be careful bringing this up, because you might touch on a sore spot, because some people take service very, very personally. Or like my area, 2 years ago, I think we tried to do one, and it turned into everyone talking about how great we were doing when we were doing completely horribly. So just be mindful of that, I guess, would be my experience with it.
We have Carrie.
Yeah, I just want to throw my 2 cents in. And Chris, I absolutely love you. And thank you for all your efforts in not dropping this subject matter. Coming from the area in Rhode Island, which folded. And I love that that you took that to heart. But we passed a motion and we said we were going to do an inventory, and we just we couldn't get it together. And we had people who were dedicated and people who were experienced. But we just couldn't get out of our own way. We really couldn't. And I don't know in hindsight what the solution was. I still don't, but I think one of our biggest problems was that we needed to change and we were very reluctant. We had too many people who were just not willing to change. We did things the way we always did them, and it wasn't working. And new blood was not interested in the way things had always been done, and service was terribly unattractive. And we were a small area, so we, you know, I don't know, we couldn't keep it up when we you know, older members moved away and whatnot, and newer members weren't interested in anymore, and it just fell apart. And you know, I think what happens in some of our nearby areas that have implemented newer service structures would have benefited us, and we talked about it, but we never had the carry through, and that was unfortunate.
Thank you, Carrie. We have Sean C. You're,
Okay, there we go. I'm an addict. My name is Sean. Thank you very much for serving everybody and whoever put this together. I'm the PR chair for my area, Rock Creek area here in Chesapeake and Potomac. And I barely learned that this workshop was happening today. Like I saw it on Facebook. I said, oh, that looks pretty cool. Let me dial in. This has been great. This has been very valuable for me, but I really didn't get the whole thing. And I don't know even who's sponsoring this. So could I get a little bit of clarity about that also? And then obviously you're probably going to tell everybody where we can pick this recording up later anyway, but it's been really great. Thank you all for spending your time and energy, and especially the mock area service. That was so realistic that some of us thought it was a real area service meeting. I'm going to mute. Just let me know who sponsored this.
Sean, this is a result of collaboration through members of U.S. zones. Actually, Craig is here now. Craig, if you want to answer, Sean, he wants to know who's sponsoring this event.
Hey, I'm an act named Craig. Sean, how's it going, buddy? I know you, Sean. Anyway, real quick, and we'll keep updating as we go through the event, but this is a collaboration of volunteers from each of the 8 zones in the United States, and it just started out with an idea to, hey, let's put something together for our members during the holiday season. And it was just a very, again, it was an opportunity for the U.S. zones to collaborate together on something that didn't take a lot of money and time and effort, but we hope would have big impact. And it was just a demonstration of unity, collaboration, us just working together, man, just for a common interest in doing something for our fellowship.
Good job.
Do it
again. And maybe some communication could go out more ahead of time, because I know there's a lot of folks that would get more out of this. Thank you very much.
Here's what you can do, Sean. I know you're in Maryland. I'm in Maryland, right? So
Yeah.
I know what region your area belongs to. Yeah, go to your RSC, and better yet, come to the zonal meeting, Sean. I'll get you all the information and bring somebody with you. And then you'll get it directly right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got some things we'd like for you to get involved with, Sean.
So before we go on to the next, a couple people, there was a question in the chat about the letters or the acronyms on the flyer itself. So if you know what H&I is, hospitals and institutions, fellowship development, normally you hear it pronounced as like just FD. That's fellowship development. The next workshop that's going to be starting at 6 p.m. is BMLT info and training. It's basic meeting list tool. A lot of people don't really know about that. That's like how your meeting get listed on a website. And they're going to talk about the type of servers they use, how to add your meeting, update. So that's the training that starts next. Further down tomorrow on Saturday at 4 p.m., CBDM, finding consensus on Mars. CBDM is consensus-based decision-making. If you've heard of Robert's rules, consensus-based decision-making is a completely different way to facilitate a meeting and to make some progress here. So they're going to be introducing that if you're not familiar with that. So we're going to go to Steve A, then Mike C. Go ahead, Steve.
I'm an addict. My name's Steve. I'm actually from the UK. I kind of wear a lot of service heads one way or another, but I just want to thank you guys for putting this on. I think this is really important right now. The landscape of our service structure is changed in the same ways it's changed for a lot of other kind of, not just NA, but business ways, the way people are doing, the way things are. And from my perspective, of someone who's been involved in online recovery for a long, long time, we watched the wave go through the world, and it's been dramatic. And in our own area, in our own region in the UK, I mean, our RSC is meeting virtually. They've just saved 74% of their expenses in the last 10 months. I think, you know, the way that we look at service has changed. I think the online meetings and everything else that's happened in the last 10 months have had a dramatic effect on an awful lot of things. So it's really vital that we have conversations like this, because the landscape is different, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. I mean, there's came across a great quote, and I'll finish on this. From crisis comes the seeds of opportunity. And I honestly believe that as a fellowship, we should grasp the opportunity we've been presented with to kind of almost do a Control-Alt-Delete about the way that we function as a fellowship, and take advantage of the new developments in the way that we as a fellowship are embracing technology. I think it's just fantastic. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody that's involved in putting this on. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to end with Mike C, and then I'm going to ask Mike to close us out. So go ahead, Mike.
My part was going to be, though, but instead of having this whole territory thought, we should work together as far as the territory goes, and redirect our territory issues and stuff like that. You know, instead of NEMA, SEMA, and all the Boston area, maybe we can. But I was suggesting to bring it back to my local area and see what they thought about it before I did anything. You know, I see a lot of people on battling the same issue on a lot of different areas, and maybe bring it back to my local area and see what they think about it and stuff like that. Maybe we do that whole territory part with it all, and maybe we can all work together on the same thing, to work together as it.
All right.